thank you everybody for joining and coming to play with this beautiful little webinar that I've been putting together with so much love. And it's going to be about helping to release our pains that we have, that we are accumulating and carrying from our growing up experiences. And so if we can get to a point where we really can release our growing up pains and start to grow up because of the signals of our pain, it's just a little mind switch that we can start to explore and to start to bring into our lives. So if you imagine that we go through this whole life and we just keep pulling up pain, keep remembering pain. Every time we're with our families, these memories, these signals, these words, the behaviors, whatever happened in our families come up and they go into our awareness. It is a huge space of holding information that can make us feel quite exhausted. So the idea is that we come to a point where we're not activating, reactivating, and traumatizing our mind and our body. And so there are some ways that we can do that. So I thought I could play with that a little bit with you all today. So thank you so much for being here and joining and connecting. Good. So before we begin, let's just settle into our space, wriggle your bottom. And we take a nice deep breath in and just close your eyes for a moment. Breathe out and just settle into the space. Connect your feet to the earth. And we just bring this beautiful gathering energy into one space. And we think about all of us and that we have been gathering from so many different spaces and places, and it's an absolute delight. So as we start connecting into so many different places, we begin to understand who we are, that we are amazing beings of energy and light. And now we have the concrete evidence of being able to connect and see each other and hear each other no matter where we are. So technology gives us the ability to have witness to it and to know that it can be. But equally, we are instantly connected one to another the moment we hold our awareness to another. So it is as if our heart opens, a beautiful beam of light goes from us to them. And the more powerful and light and love-filled that energy beam, the better it is for them and for me. So right here where you are now, just imagine that it's okay to be you and who you are and where you are right now in your body, in your mind. And take a deep breath and just acknowledge and honor you. And as you breathe out, just relax your body into this moment. And honor every single aspect that you have known to this point in this life journey. No matter how it's looked, no matter how you or another has perceived it, just go into that deep space of honoring. Lovely. Good. And if you can just feel how that drops you right down into a safe space. So imagine now that you have created a sanctuary, a safe place where you are, filled with light and love, that you are honoring you and your entire life journey. And now we ask for our guides, angels, the loving divine presence to be very close to us so that what comes in is able to be released with light and love. And whatever needs to come into our awareness, we allow for that. And whatever is not for us, we release that immediately before it even happens. Just release it. Good. Okay, my darlings. So I'll just ask you all now to hold in your heart whatever intention that you would hold for this session, whatever will help you in the most wonderful way to come to a deep space of clearing, peace, light, and love. Just hold that in your awareness now. Good. Okay, lovely. So let's have a sip of water and let's begin. Well done. Thank you, my darling. Sip of water. Come on back. Good. So now we're growing into me, and we know the me of me is the most beautiful gift that is available to me to be here. Think of about yourself like a processing vehicle that is carrying you through a life journey. And because we got this vehicle, this body, this mind, this soul, we are fully equipped to do this life journey in the most incredible way. If we can tune in the mechanism of this vehicle, we really have the ability to show up in a profound way. So that's the intention that I'm holding for all of us, that we can start to tune and tweak our energy being. And we would love to let go of the idea of suffering. This is such an awful idea and concept that we seem to carry around, and we believe that in order to be worthy of a life, we have to in some way suffer. We have so many foolish statements that get delivered to us, and then we adopt them and accept them. And you will hear in so many of these statements, there is an element of suffering, of warning, of foreboding, of threatening, of guilt, trepidation, anxiety, and the list goes on. So you will hear those in the undertone of them. But while we are just throwing them out and not considering them, we don't also consider the subtle undertone or the subtle note that is inside of that space. And this is when it becomes a real hardship for us, because our body begins to activate. So let's go on here. And I thought this was a fun way to say this. Our growing pains become our grown-up pain. So we're accumulating these pains from growing up, and then they become our grown-up pain. And this happens when we hold on to the memories of suffering. So the more we go back and go into the memories of our suffering, the worse it gets, and the more we hold it, and the longer we hold it. And then eventually, before we know it, we are really right at the end of our life. And guess what? We're still holding the same story. So what we'd like to do is that we'd like to switch now and have our growing up pains help us to grow up and to grow into our full and divine being. So if we are ready to grow, we have to almost make a decision, because this decision to grow and to expand and to open up your consciousness and to become a more full and complete and whole person is not something that just happens because you get another year older. It happens because it's a conscious decision. And the triggers that are around us are constantly around us. And they are constantly there to be ignited in our system. But at the same time, these triggers can be viewed as signals of possibility. So just try and think about what I'm saying here, is that if we are holding these incredible signals in us that can make us react in any moment, that means we haven't considered them, and they're just charging into our system, and our entire limbic system gets charged and activated. But if we can say, okay, there is a signal, which there is going to be, unless your entire journey gets grown up in a box with lots of cotton wool, and there are no people and no interaction and no drama and no karma and no ancestral imprints, and you have this perfect little cocoon of life existence. It's just not possible to go through an entire life journey with no signals in your being. So our signals are going to be there. So why not work with them and create our awareness of our signals as a possibility? That'll be a fun idea. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at some of the triggers, and then we're going to look at some steps that we can take to release these. And the third thing to me is the biggest reason, is that we can grow from our pain into healers. And people will say, oh, but no, I'm not a healer. You know, you're a healer, but I'm not a healer. But no, that's not true. We are all healers. We are all here to participate in this amazing journey of our life. And in doing so, to offer some form of healing to consciousness. And the moment we awaken, we can do that. So I would love it right now if you could just be where you are for 1 minute, hold your awareness, take a deep breath in and say out loud to yourself, because the microphone's off, I am a healer, and claim it, hold it. I am a healer. And if you can hold that awareness that you are absolutely a healer, then we can begin to heal. We begin to heal ourselves, and we begin to heal the people around us. And expanding as ripples in a pond will, we begin to heal consciousness. And that is the only way we are going to get through the quagmire that we have created. So here we are at a choice point. And I'm going to do a little bit of similarities or metaphors of a bean, because I thought a bean with a human being. So I'm going to play with that a little bit as we go along. And so the first place we're at right now is the choice point. So like a bean, and you know those are those white beans that we used to do for the science experiments, and we used to take them to school, and then we put them in a little thing of cotton wool and keep them damp and put them on the windowsill. And the children who overwatered theirs frotted and died, and the children who never watered theirs never grew, and the children who got it just right and had the lucky bean, their lucky bean sprouted and grew. And everyone was totally in awe of the one whose bean was growing. So we're a little bit like that. We are able to either take the bean and do something with it, not so much that we waterlog it and create it to become rotten, frotten, or we can leave it to dry, or just dry up and shrivel up and not come to its place of being. Or we can actually do something with this being, this human being that we are, and we can begin to bring in its full potential. So think about a little bean as we take it out the packet. And so this little bean, what it looks like, it's got a hard little shell, and it'll sit in that packet for a long time. It'll be absolutely fine, because its inert nature, its knowingness of self is there. It knows what it is. And given the right circumstances, it will grow. So it is like we are, I am, you need to say that, I am, okay, say it into your head, I am divinely and uniquely encoded within for my magnificence. And that's the absolute truth. That we have a coding for who we are to be. It is already embedded in us. And just like that little bean that is lying there looking apparently very inert, the coding for what it is to be is already within it. So if we decide that we stay inert, we can just stay in that place. Or if we decide to activate this human being and allow and trust, those are your key words. So if anyone's writing those down, these are big words for us. When we get to the choice point, it's allow and trust, because the process will happen regardless of the being. regardless of where it is. The process will happen under the right situation because the potential is there. I am pure potential. So let's just look at the triggers. What are these triggers? And then what are my reactions? So we'll know that there are triggers in our being when we have a sense that makes no sense. And we'll have a feeling that'll come over us like a foreboding, or a sense of doom, or a sense of guilt, or a sense of shame that is not relevant to the space, the time, the situation that is happening. It is almost an overwhelming sense, perhaps, of depression, being locked in, not being able to get out. When we have these senses that don't really fit the reality of the life we're in right now, these are triggers. They are embedded codes, and they are sitting inside of our being, ready to spark at any time. And we know these because we've all felt them. And so we begin a process. We get a spark, something ignites this feeling, the sense within us. And immediately once the spark is ignited, we get a reaction. Our whole body goes into a reactive state because we are reacting to the thing that set us off. And our reactive processing is the lowest form of processing that we can come into. It clicks into the default system of our limbic system, which is the system of fight, flight, faint. Our entire body gets flooded with epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol. And while our body is being flooded with stress hormones, it is as if we are being hijacked. And our being starts a rampage, and our reaction becomes so big that we then sort of go into like a lockdown. You know, when it opens and it ignites, and then it just keeps going and keeps going. You think, oh my gosh, it's like a runaway train. I am like a runaway train. So what we notice now is because our being is pushing us, it's given us a spark to help us to ignite, to come into our sense, to look at the thing that is activated in us. But because our default system wants to protect us, it locks us down into a reaction. And the reaction looks like this. These are the Ds. These are the big Ds. That you'll either try and defend, or you'll deflect, or you'll distract, or deny, or detach, or destroy. Oh, I thought of that one last night. I thought, oh my gosh, that's a brilliant one, because that's the most delicious one, isn't it? We'd like go out to destroy the person. We write the hate emails and we do all the stuff to destroy them. And so we can play in all the big Ds. I'm just going to say one quick thing about the one of them, which is distraction. You know, when children are being activated inside of their limbic system, their reactive mode, remember that they also carry memory. Even if they're small, they carry energy imprints. And you can see when children have these huge meltdowns in the supermarkets and the temper tantrums because something sparked and they don't know what it is. They don't have a cognitive link to it. It is just a feeling. And everyone says, oh, they're too dramatic, or they're too this, or they're too that. And what do we try and do? We try to distract them. Oh, look, I'll give you a sweetie. Come with mommy. Look at the pretty birdie. You know how we do all that stuff? Stop doing it. If you're a grandparent or a parent or about to be, stop doing that. You are teaching your children to disconnect from their being. And you're teaching them not to process. And in doing that, you are creating deeper and deeper embedded codes of misery, those cords of suffering. Eek. Okay, big warning there. Tum-ta-dum-tum. Let's go on. The way for us to truly get the potential that is inside of that little embedded space is to erupt, to open. How crazy is that? We've always been told, behave yourself, be nice, play nice, share, give it away. We've always been told how to diminish and deplete ourselves in favor of another. But in order to truly bring what it is that you are out, it needs to come out. So perhaps, and I'm just going to say this with a big perhaps it's okay to have a little eruption every now and again. But if we can do it in a way that we are allowing and venting, releasing this energy, which it becomes pent up inside of our body. So that little picture that you've got on the screen there, that is a poppy, a beautiful little poppy pod. And look at its little bristly outer casing, like, ooh, don't you touch me, little bristly thing. But at the moment where it can no longer be bristly to the whole wide world, it pops, it cracks, it splits. And the thing that is the beauty that has been hiding dormant inside of this, growing into its splendor and beauty inside of this capsule, it begins to emerge. And in roses and in other flowers with perfumes, the perfume is released. The color is being shown and shared. And there is so much that is of its value that is inside that now comes out. So am I willing to lose my defensive, protective layer to let the light in? Ask yourself that. Am I willing to lose my defensive, protective layer to let the light in? Nice. Hold that awareness and just be in that space. Good. And that's the choice point. And if we are saying it is okay for me to do this, then I have to say, even if I feel vulnerable, God forbid, or exposed, God forbid. We hate those things. We hate feeling vulnerable, and we absolutely hate being exposed, don't we? It's much better that we have a mask and a screen and all the stuff, all the smoke, the disguise. It's much better if we have that and no one sees who we truly are. So imagine the whole wide world. Everybody goes like this and drops their masks, drops their pretense, drops the games, drops everything. We just drop all of this outer facade, and we allow and we trust and we become that beautiful being that we truly, truly are. Just imagine that could be the new formula that we hold in all of our beings. So if you are vulnerable and you are exposed, you are absolutely going to be in your truth, because there's no game and there's no role and there's no pretense and there's no denying, deflecting, distracting, detaching, destroying, and all the other D's. You're just going to be in your truth. And if one of us can do it, and then another one starts to do it, little lights start going on. And we all start behaving and being so beautiful and so different inside of this amazing world. We'll find a different way of being. Oh, I would love that. So what we're going to do, we're going to prepare the soil. Put on your gloves and we prepare the soil. So think about where you are right now. Let this be the beginning of you preparing your soil. Try and switch now out of listening mode and try to come into a space now where you can actually start a process and you can start coming into a deeper healing for yourself, because you are the absolute gift to this world. So if you can just start right now, right here, we begin to change consciousness. And because we are pulling resources of connecting and connectivity to so many different places around the globe right now, we have this ability through our heart to explore and to expand consciousness. Okay, so let's prepare the soil. Where you are right now, can you imagine that you are in a safe place, a sanctuary of light and love? Can you hold yourself there And just take a deep breath and say, it's okay for me to be here right now. I just give my full presence to being here right now, just for a little while. And then can I honor myself and others? And just come into an agreement in yourself. Can I honor myself and others? The self one is very important, very, very important. Because it's much easier to go out than to come in. So come into yourself. Now, can I release the desire to do the Ds, all the Ds? Remember, the denying, the distracting, the detaching, the destroying. Can I release my desire to do the Ds? So just think about that. Can I just stop playing in the game of distraction? And can I ask my mind body to collaborate and to give me a note to self that says, oh, you're playing in distraction. So just tweaking that little dial. I'm not going to play there as much as I possibly can. I'm not going to play in distraction. And then can I just also drop all the ideas of detaching? That way of I don't want, I won't bring in, and just detaching, pushing away. Can I do that? Can I drop my detachment? Can I drop my denial? I'm all right, don't worry about me. Can I drop denial, self-denial? And can I drop that desire to destroy another so that I can look right? We're just going to ask mind, body to pay attention, because none of this can be done overnight. We have been encoded with this way of coping. It's a coping mechanism, our default setting, thousands and thousands of years. But at some point along the whole evolutionary consciousness spiral game of life, somebody has to awaken. It might as well be you. You can leave a legacy of being the one in your line that changed the pattern, turned the dials, and embraced something different. And can you recognize that you have made a choice now to heal and release? Can you make that agreement, and can you recognize that in you? As if you were reaching into your own inner dial and you were just turning the dial. And now, can you bring compassion towards your own human self, knowing that we are doing what we are doing with so much information, so many impacts, so many triggers, and we're doing the best we possibly can for ourselves, but we are also doing the best we possibly can for our awakening humanity. And this is the greatest gift. That if I can heal, then I can be the one light that can help the healing. Okay, so think about that, my sweeties. Just come into that space. Good. We're going to go on. Well done. So what we want to do is to dig deep. And we want to look at what is the disturbance, what do I feel, and what is my default reaction. So for those of you who are writing, this is what we're going to do now. Just take one teeny tiny, not the greatest episode of disturbance in your life. Just take a small episode, something that's recent would be fabulous. Some little disturbance that created a feeling inside of you. Take that, write it down. Just write the sentence, I felt blah, 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 or this happened. Just a quick little sentence, or just hold your awareness of that for a moment. And I'm going to have some water. I hope you do too. Good. Lovely. Okay, now I want you to write there, what do I feel? Just what do I feel when this little disturbance comes in, this thing, this agitation? What do I feel? And it can just be a few little words. I feel, 2 or 3 words. Doesn't have to be a very big list. And then we want to ask, what is my default reaction? So now, what do I do when I feel like this? What is my default reaction when I get this feeling? How do I show up with this feeling? So make a note of that. Good. And just breathe that through now. Just breathe it through and look at it. Here it is on paper, or if you're not writing it down, look at it as if it is an awareness that you're holding in your hands outside of you. So there you're holding this awareness outside of you, and just be okay that you look at it outside of you. And so now we're going to use the tools. We have tools to do this. Let's go in and do that. So here you'll see a list of some of the aspects that you might have seen. So on the one side, we have the list of the feelings. So see if you've got some of those as well. When something ignites or triggers in our being, we either feel angry, or we might feel rage. We might feel panic, maybe misery, or a sense of being lost, helpless, an overwhelming sense of apathy, or alone, desperate. We might feel hatred or insecure. We might feel rejected or anxious or even inadequate. And think about all those feelings that a small little episode can bring up in our feeling being, our sensing feeling being. And our sensing feeling being is this human being, this vehicle that is guiding us through this life journey. So what we have done is we have activated all our senses and all our perceptions of this feeling, sensing being. And so now the feelings are awakened and around us. And what do we normally do? We go, I shouldn't feel like this. I must give them the benefit of the doubt. I should share. I had better do that. We deny, we distract, we detach, we deflect, we destroy. We do all these other D's. We push it away. So hear what you've done right now. The feeling comes up. Rage. Oh, I better be nice. I should be nice. In one of the last one, I said this little poem because I was a very rage-filled little girl. Oh, I was so angry as a child. It was ridiculous. There was a little girl who had a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very, very good. And when she was bad, she was horrid. Because guess what? I was the curly-headed girl, and I didn't behave well. I was raging most of my childhood. I used to climb into a cupboard where I thought God couldn't see me in the darkest cupboard and rage and scream at God for making me come here. Just being here is hard. It's not a joke. It is not easy. We are filled with impact. We are filled with imprints. We've got ancestral imprints, karmic imprints. We've got genetic imprints. We have got energetic imprints. I mean, we are just a big imprinted being, a sensory being, and we are being triggered all over. And so we are going to have feelings because we are a feeling sensory being. So these words about 2 years ago, that we are multi-level, multi-dimensional processing unit. And I thought, oh, really? Processing unit now, are we? We're not even a human being, we're a processing unit. But if you think about that, it actually is so amazing, because we are able to process on multiple levels in multiple dimensions as we process through this unit, which is a part of a whole. So how are we going to process this unit so that the whole can be so much better? It is not to suppress, deny, distract our feelings and deny the vehicle through which we are to interrelate, integrate, connect with all life. The moment we do that and we dull down all our feelings, we are dulling down all our senses and perceptions. And we're wondering why everyone's walking around half anesthetized. Why don't they see it? Why don't they get that? Why don't they understand? Why don't they see how much pain they're causing? Well, guess what? We've been teaching this human population how not to feel. So now I'm saying, go ahead, feel your feelings. It's okay. It's just a feeling. The way we connect to the feeling and the way we release them is the part that brings our awareness of our maturity. We don't have to go around smashing people in the face and hurting them, but we certainly can express and release our feelings. And if we don't, we are going to become a big blob of amoeba, a big amoebic blob of misery. Okay, so you got your feelings. Now you got your reactions. These are your knee-jerk reactions. What is your knee-jerk reaction when someone offends you? Would you just love to just offend them back? Would you like to hurt them? Bring in some kind of revenge? What is your go-to mechanism, your default go-to mechanism? Begin to understand what it is so that you can begin to process in that mechanism. It's a protective vehicle for you to experience this life. But watch what it is, because if it is so protective, it's like the outer casing, that bristly outer casing that's preventing you from really finding your fullness of within. We don't want to be placing that. We want to be opening. Okay. Does my feeling, when I have these feelings, do I go to a reaction of blaming and shaming everybody else? It's their fault. I couldn't help it. I'm just a poor little thing, whatever. Or do we go to the punishment, want to punish others? And this is a fabulous one. We can do all those beautiful things like passive aggressive stuff, and where deceit and lies and deception are. Oh, people love to play in this one. Or do we take some kind of action? Dum, da-dum, dum, get on our horse, grab our shield, and take some fabulous action? Or do we just scream like Joy did, climbing into her cupboards? I walked around with my throat sore for pretty much my whole little growing up life. Oh, just agony. Okay. Or do you go like this? Oh, I'm going to fix it myself. I'll just do it myself. And here are how many women do that. Oh, don't bother. I'll just do it myself. How we do that one. Or do we start to demonstrate and jump up and down and have tantrums and show our displeasure in unproductive ways? Or do we rebel and do the exact opposite? How many marriages have resulted when parents said, oh, don't marry that one, make your life an absolute misery, and just to rebel, they marry that one whose life then becomes not so great. Mm-hmm. And then the parents get the pleasure of saying, I told you so. And do we admonish ourselves or the other? Or do we just complain and about how terrible our life is and how miserable everything is in our life? Or do we withdraw? So I don't care anyway. Who cares? I don't care. And in the withdrawal, there are other aspects that come into. We start anesthetizing ourselves so that we can withdraw. Does this make sense to you, my darlings? Hold your awareness. We just take a deep breath and just feel those, that it's okay to have my feelings, to be me. I understand what my reactions are, my own particular wiring for my reactions are. I could actually do a whole potpourri of all of these. I could do a whole bunch of them at once. I can say correct, potpourri. We can be any of these, but you will find that one of these or two of them will be your go-to knee-jerk reactive states. Pay attention to what they are. The minute you begin to pay attention is the minute you start becoming the observer of your life. And the observer can be the one who is the creative one in your life. So we're going to look at this is a whole big topic. So if anyone wants a big topic on this, you must send me a note and I'll do a webinar on this. But I'm going to give you a 2 seconds little check-in on what this is. Who am I in this situation? Ask yourself in every situation, who am I? Not who is the other, because then you're blaming and shaming. Who am I in this situation? So I can take these 3 roles. I will either be the perpetrator, the one who has to be right, the one who's aggressive, who's pushing my point of view, who's being assertive and domineering and just holding that space. I can either be that one. So think, who are you? Are you that one? Or I could be the victim, like, oh, I'll do it myself. Don't worry, no one can do anything. It's all useless. I'm the only one who can do this. Am I the victim? Is that kind of my go-to place? Or am I the rescuer? The rescuer will say, well, I'm just going to do it. Obviously, none of you can get this right. I'm going to be the one who can do it. If I wasn't here, the whole place would fall apart. And then you'll see what will happen. And that's a little victim-y and a little bit rescue-y. But we do play in 3 of these roles until we become clued up about these are just roles and they lock us in to a perpetual game of misery. And we can hop from one to another, and yeah, so that's a whole workshop right there. But just pay attention. Where are you inside of this triangle? So here, if we start to pay attention, we become the witness. And how amazing is that? Because the moment we become the witness, we can step out of our role. And we begin to recognize our pain as universal themes. The minute we do that, we come out of this tight capsule where everything seems to be so tightly pressed in here. And we begin to explore the option that there is something through which I may grow, like the tiny little seed in the optimal environment. As we are paying attention to it, observing it, giving it just what it needs, it grows down a tiny little root. And that little root is called a radical. Think about how sweet that word is, radical. Radical change, radical improvement, radical growth, opportunity, potential. That's universal theme awareness. Aware of our themes as a universal collective. And I am holding some, one, or many of those themes. If I'm holding these, and I'm witnessing me holding them, and I heal me, imagine where we can go with this. If we know it, if we know this feeling, if we know this reaction, we know the roles that we play, we know what sparks and ignites us, we know it through our sensory being, we can feel it. If I know it, I can feel it. And if I can feel it, I can heal it. That is the journey of awareness. And we can only heal if we are willing to feel and if we are willing to know. So feel the beautiful being, this vehicle, the sensory being. Feel what a gift that truly is to us. So we are being helped through our body. How precious is this mind, body, soul? How much better do you feel about being in this mind, body, and soul? Wonderful gifts. If you know it, then we can feel it, and then we can heal it. Beautiful. Good. Have some water. Let's do that. We're nearly there, darlings. So the agreement we make now is to heal. And this then becomes the gift that we give to all life. And you remember at the beginning, we had a choice point. Well, this is the next choice point. We can know all the stuff. We can hear all the stuff. We can listen to all the talks. We can listen to endless talks about, people who are trying to help us here and there and there. But until we come into an agreement here, now, we cannot move any further. So think about your being, this amazing being that you are. Before you even arrived here, you were divinely and uniquely encoded within for this life journey. You were encoded because you agreed to show up and to do and to be spectacular, magnificence. This is what you agreed. There is an agreement. This is our sacred and divine contract. We hold it at the center of our being. And when we live an entire life journey, creating scenarios, roles, and performances and plays that are helping us to remember the agreement, and then we don't remember and don't create and don't finish the agreement, we are left with a deep sense of hollowness, a sense of being non-fulfilled, unfulfilled. And that is the greatest pain that we can carry to the end of our life, is to come to the end and say, but I didn't do what I said I would do. I said I'd come and I would heal. I am a healer. I said I would do that. I said I would have the interactions that would remind me, because I didn't come down with pen and paper, notepad. So I have to have the interactions to remind me. And so I've been having the interactions, and I've been having one after another, after another, after another, after another. And you think by now I would have got the message, but apparently not. So I'm going to just keep having the messages come to me from the messengers, who will be the same people showing me the same behavior, the same stuff again and again and again until I'm nearly dead, until I'm nearly dead. And I still don't get it. And I still don't get it. And I get to the end of my life and say, thank God that's over. Well, guess what? It's not. It's not over. You haven't done the work. You didn't finish your agreement. You didn't complete your sacred divine contract. We got to do this work. We've got to get to that point where we start to heal because of what we know. This is the point of agreement. So you have an agreement before you come in, and then we have an agreement while we are here. And at some point on this journey, may it be soon for you, we have to reclaim, restate what our agreement is, and start to operate this amazing being, the system, in accordance with that agreement, aligning, integrating, and connecting now into our fullest potential to be the healer of consciousness. That's why we're here. So if you were to hold the agreement now in your being, and imagine this is the point now where we almost go back to being a seed. And we plant a different seed of awareness in our being. Can you see there is no doing in this? We've been taking some notes to remind us, but there is no doing in this. This is not a doing activity. This is a being space for potential to be. So you imagine now that you have this agreement, it's come in, you awaken fully to it, you recognize who you are as a divine being of light and love. and you begin to plant a new seed of agreement into the center of your being. And this one little seed has the capacity to expand into anything at all. And like one healthy cell in the body of all that is, if one healthy cell can show up and be that healthy, vibrant cell, it has the potential to create more of that so that the entire body receives that message of wellness. So here you are. There's nothing else to do. We've been doing the doing. Now we are going to get into the space of just being. This is your agreement. This is your seed. And imagine now that you plant the seed within your being. So let's just take a nice deep breath as we hold this moment. And as you breathe into the center of your being, drop your attention right down through your body. I hold the seed of my intention. I hold this beautiful being in light and love. And in this moment, as I see myself as the potential for the healing upon this planet, that I can be the one healthy seed. Feel the agreement in the center of your being. As if in this beautiful body, we have the divine soil. We have even the compost. We have it all. And you embed this new agreement into your being. That in this moment, I can choose now to switch on the inner mechanisms, open and awaken all the cords, the codes, the DNA that will help me to begin to live this life in the most fulfilled, purposeful, divine, illuminated, connected, integrated way that I possibly can. And now we're not doing this because we have to do a doing. We are simply embedding the seed. The seed is the potential. The agreement is to hold it in this body, in this mind, and this soul for the better, the good of all life, the upliftment of all life. I'm simply going to hold it in me. I'm going to stay aware, stay connected, and allow and trust the process because it is already there. So feel what that feels like in your body. The process, the coding is already there. I just needed to come to this point and embed it. So imagine now that you begin to declare, to claim, and to proclaim that this space, this life, through this breath and this beautiful being, that I can show up in this world in the most divine and illuminated way that I possibly can. So that when I come to the end of this life journey and I take my last breath, I will feel a great sense of peace, ease, and fulfillment. I came, and so I am. Here I am, divine being. Good. So just breathe into that now. And then gently bring your awareness back to the space you're in. Imagine yourself in this beautiful pond of love and light. And you hold your energy here. And then sense the space around you, the room and the space that you're in. And imagine like sunlight, you begin through your heart and you radiate unconditional beams of love and light to all those who have shown you a contrast in this life journey. To all beings who have shown me what it is that I needed to pay attention to and to call in the exact opposite of that pain, I do it now. Imagine that is the light that you're radiating. Good. Lovely. Come back into your center, come back into your beautiful being. Just shake and relax your shoulders and come on back into the space. And thank you so much for connecting and being part of this lovely session. And for those of you who know me well and have worked with me, you know that the work is just absolutely delicious and beautiful and deeply honoring. And it is remarkable how quickly we can heal our old patterns and our old wounds. It is quite remarkable. So for those who are wishing to connect, the way to do that is through my website, joytruscott.com. And I work in all sorts of different ways and all around the beautiful globe. So lots of ways to connect. May you feel a deep blessing as you now continue to move your life and your world with ease, grace, peace, harmony, light, and love. So much love. Namaste. So much love, my darling. Thank you. Yes, well done.
Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell